Hello and welcome to our Visionary Voices podcast series. I'm your host, Gina Furnival, and over the coming weeks, we'll be talking with some of the world's leading physicians, exploring topics such as innovation and legends, those individuals that have really inspired change in medicine and the people around them. Today, I'm thrilled to be with my colleague and friend, Kathy Day. Kathy's our Senior Medical Director at Touch. Hi, Kathy, how are you?
Hello, Gina. Well, I'm excited to be here with you today and our fantastic guest, who's going to talk about a pioneer in the field of refractive surgery.
Brilliant. So today's guest is someone that I've had the pleasure of knowing for some time, but I rarely get the opportunity to actually chat with them outside of our daily roles. So without further ado, please join me in giving a warm welcome to our guest, Dr. Jennifer Lowe. How are you today, Jennifer?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to speak with you.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure for us too. For those of you that may not know, Jennifer is a board-certified ophthalmologist based in the lovely Miami in Florida. In 2016, Jennifer founded her practice, Lowe Ophthalmology Associates, where she is now medical director. In addition to her practice, Jennifer dedicates her time as a clinical and surgical attending for the prestigious Larkin Hospital Ophthalmology Residency Program. She can also be found traveling the world, frequently speaking at international congresses. In the last few months alone, she has showcased her expertise at the Telling It Like It Is Congress in Orlando and also Hawaii and I, as well as participating in numerous other educational activities and programs. And last but not least, I will have to mention that you're also the editor-in-chief of our journal, Touch Reviews in Ophthalmology. That's a brief summary of what you've achieved. I know you've achieved so much more. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, that was such a really nice summary. I really appreciate it. And I feel very honored to hear all the kind words.
It's a real honor to have you with us as well.
No, thank you for having me.
So today, Jennifer is going to talk to us about someone who I'm sure many of you will have heard of, Dr. Guy Kazarian. Dr. Kazarian stands as a visionary in the field of ophthalmology and a pioneer in refractive surgery. From his beginnings at McGill University and Brown Medical School to his groundbreaking work in LASIK technologies, the founding of the Refractive Surgery Alliance Society, and leadership as SurgiVision consultants, Dr. Kazarian exemplifies dedication to advancing eye care and medical leadership. And as the driving force behind the Precision CEO program and a supporter of numerous global surgical missions, his career spans healthcare innovation, education, and training, establishing him as a pivotal figure in the pursuit of better vision and medical practice standards.
So thanks, Kathy. So without further ado, I think we'll just jump straight in then. So as Kathy mentioned, Guy is obviously known as a visionary and a pioneer in refractive surgery. Perhaps I could just start by asking you, from your perspective, what is it that you think makes him so revolutionary?
Well, I mean, your summary was beautiful. And I think that is, such an honor to Guy. He has achieved all of those things you mentioned beautifully in the biography, as well as more. To me, he's a visionary because he's truly changed the mindset of refractive surgery. He was actually even pivotal in helping create refractive surgery in many ways. He not only had and founded his own refractive surgery practice, and it was actually a refractive surgery only practice. And he says that it was one, if not the first ever, to do that, to be a refractive surgery only type of practice. And so I think that was extremely admirable. He also worked very closely with Charles K-Spear in studying LASIK, and he helped write many protocols to help get the approval for the lasers, the Summit laser and the Vizix laser in 1996. And he really, when he tells me his story, when I learn from him every day, he tells me at the time there was a lot of resistance actually to studying LASIK. We take it for granted that refractive surgery is available to everyone and just available now as a technology, but there was actually a lot of pushback. And so he worked, very, very, trying to think of the correct word, but he worked tirelessly. That's the word I was thinking of. He worked tirelessly to get this LASIK FDA approved, and again had to go against some controversy. So I think I admire him so much, and the fact that he believed in the specialty, believed in the surgery, and was willing to fight for it. Also, I think that what I admire about him is the fact that he's changing the mindset, at least in our country and also the world. I mean, he started, as you know, the Refractive Surgery Alliance. And what was really pivotal about starting that is he really brought refractive surgeons together. Prior to his initiation of the Refractive Surgery Alliance, or RSA, there was, the refractive surgeons were quite disjointed, and there wasn't always necessarily collegiality. So I've been told. It was a slightly before my time. But so I've been told. I've been fortunate because I was starting my career around the time Guy was starting the RSA. And so I've always grown up with collegiality amongst refractive surgeons. However, he tells me that that was not always the case. And his concept in creating this group was to help further refractive surgery for everyone. He saw that refractive surgery was becoming sort of a niche surgery for only the wealthy, only people who could afford it. But he realized, why can't we bring it to everyone? Why shouldn't it be a primary care of vision? Like, why can't this be an option for everyone? And I think that was really revolutionary to me. Like, why is this held back from other patients around the world? And so that proactive feeling and that, desire to help people around the world, to me, makes him revolutionary. Not only does he work with the refractive surgery, but as you probably already know, he's been on the board for the Himalayan Cataract Project to cure blindness for 8 years. And that, I'm sure you've researched that program as well, is amazing. There's 16 residency programs involved in the program where they teach other doctors and countries how to do cataract surgery and to cure blindness. We know that in many of these countries, there's not enough eye care providers to help the patients. And he's told me that they've done over 100,000 cataracts a year in this program. And another program that he's worked with, again, to help further the availability of refractive surgery to all types of patients, is the Visual Freedom Foundation. And that is a foundation that's developed in Nepal and in Peru, where they are bringing the benefits of refractive surgery to patients that otherwise couldn't afford it. So I think that, not only is he growing the specialty, he's bringing the surgery to people who wouldn't normally have access to it, whether it be cataract surgery or refractive surgery or both. I think this makes him revolutionary, and he's really taken on the challenges of the world.
Mm-hmm. I think he's inspired lots of people to take on surgical missions, hasn't he? As part of their career, he's always promoting. Have you done one? Have you ever been on a surgical mission yourself?
I've never been on a surgical mission. I did go to India and visited Ashwin and Amar Agarwal in Chennai, India. And I was able to observe their surgeries, and they allowed me to participate in some of the surgeries. It wasn't specifically a mission trip. So I have not done that. But the one thing that I do in my own community, as part of my Larkin ophthalmology residency program, we do charity surgeries. So I'm teaching the residents, and we find patients. We get them enrolled in programs, whether it be donated, some of the big surgical companies such as Alcon donate equipment. I donate my time. The OR donates its time. And we do surgeries for patients that would otherwise not afford them. So while I'm not going to another country, I do feel like it's amazing how even in our first world country, there's so many patients that don't have access to care and have terrible blinding cataracts in my community alone. So that's been what I've tried to do now. It's nowhere near what Guy Kazarian has done, of course, but this is sort of my humble contribution.
He's clearly, a real entrepreneur. And how much do you think, the fact that he's got an MBA and he kind of builds business frameworks into his models of care, how much do you think that's really kind of led him down this path of innovation?
Oh, immensely. And that's another thing, the business side that he brings. And what you said just led me to another thought. And another reason why I think that he has been so pivotal to our field is, in addition to helping patients, he also wants to help doctors. He started the Physician CEO program based upon his idea from his MBA training on how to bring business education to physicians. He has a real drive to help patients, but also other people in general, including doctors, grow and learn more. And that's, why I've always admired him. He's a true mentor. And you're exactly right. He recognizes the fact that in order to do good for the world, we have to have a business foundation in order to affect change. And so I love his global viewpoint, how he really takes on the challenges of the world. He rises above the mundane. Also, what's so impressive about Guy is that he really has a unique ability to see the problems in the world and in our field and identify what needs to be done. And then he also has the courage, the drive, and the work ethic to get it done. And I think that's something you don't see in people every day. You know, most of us, including myself, we get caught up in the mundane aspects of life. And it's hard to sort of rise above, but I think he meets that challenge and exceeds it.
Yeah, and I think, you know, there's obviously the World College of Refractive Surgery and Visual Sciences that he's been very much involved with. And that's had a really important role in just not in creating refractive surgery as a single specialty. What's your understanding of how he's developed that?
Yes, so that has been obviously endless hard work on his part as well and his colleagues. He started first the RSA in order to have collegiality amongst surgeons. And then the second extension was the World College of Refractive Surgery to educate and create a standardization for refractive surgery. Because I even noticed that in my short tenure as a practicing ophthalmologist, when I finished training, I had done some LASIK, of course, but there was no real cohesive structure to the education. Even if one did a fellowship in cornea, most of the fellowships were at academic centers that didn't necessarily focus on refractive surgery, right? And it's such a specialized field that getting regular ophthalmic training in an ophthalmology residency is not necessarily sufficient right now. So having that standardization, opening up the doors to having courses that you could take even after training, right? It's hard for many people to go back and do a fellowship once you've been in practice. You have a family, you have a career, you have a mortgage, you know, so it's hard to do those things. But he's created an avenue where those interested in refractive surgery can follow a set pathway. He's also started an actual fellowship program as well. So in addition to the World College of Refractive Surgery, a person could do a fellowship as well. And I think this has created a great standardization for refractive surgery, which only benefits patients in the long run by having skilled surgeons.
Exactly. And you know, I think some of the innovation and technologies that he's been involved with are all very much based around that collaborative approach. Can you tell us a little bit more about the Himalayan Cataract Project, Cure Blindness, that he's been involved with, and how his work through philanthropy has really sort of helped individuals regain or retain sight in areas that are often very under-resourced?
Yeah, so I think this project is amazing. You know, it started obviously in Nepal, and you know, I don't know if you've ever read the book. It's called Second Sons. If you've heard of it, but it's amazing. I see you nodding your head, so maybe you've read it.
I feel I should have done now. I feel bad.
Oh, you haven't read it yet? Definitely get it. And it follows the story, not of Dr. Kazarian, but of the two founding members of the Himalayan Cataract Project. And you just see firsthand how impactful it is. I mean, so many of these patients in the book, they travel on foot for days to get to a center where they can get their cataracts taken out. And we're not speaking about 20, 30 cataracts. We're talking about hand motion cataracts. And the drive of the two founders to create this has been amazing. And then Guy carrying it forward for the past 8 years, and not only helping patients in the moment, but training other doctors to carry forward this work, I think has been incredible. And the work has just been fantastic.
Amazing.
So I know you touched on it already about his mentoring ability. And I know he spends quite a lot of time working with students, doesn't he? And he's also written a book called Grades Equal Money, which is, I know, especially designed for high school students and also college freshmen to improve their academic performance. How do you think he has inspired upcoming ophthalmologists over the years?
Well, you know, I can tell you my personal experience. The one thing I've always appreciated about Guy is his ability to really see a person for who they are, who he or she is. I remember being pretty recently out of training, feeling like I didn't know anything, you know, obviously being at a conference and not knowing anyone and feeling quite small. but Guy reached out. Like, he saw me, he started talking to me, he invited me to get involved. He actually invited me to come to the first official Refractive Surgery Alliance meeting. And that should have been in 2013 or 2014 at Ascaris, I believe. He has the original photo of our founding meeting. But just his faith and his ability to care and recognize that I was interested. You know, me, again, as a new graduate, meeting him and seeing him as such a high-level physician and all that he had accomplished, I was surprised he was even speaking to me. You know, he has that ability to really be, as they say, the quote, down to earth and you know, care about every individual, whether they're the top of their field, famous, you know, surgeon, or someone who's just finished training. And I remember that conversation that we had many, many years ago at a conference, and just the fact that he took interest in me and invited me to become part of a field that I really wasn't involved in really meant a lot to me. And I know that I'm not the only one that's had that experience. He does that with many, many students and residents, and his, you know, and again, it's so easy once you're as well known and accomplished as him, it'd be easy to sort of ignore and dismiss the younger surgeons and physicians. But he goes beyond that, and he really, you know, does a wonderful job at being a mentor.
Yeah, I'm sure you'd love to hear those lovely words. And obviously, it's made such an impact to lots of people, not just you, and a real skill in how he connects.
That's a great phrase. He's very good at connecting. Yes.
So thanks so much. That's going to wrap for today's episode. I want to end by saying a huge thank you to you, our guest, Dr. Jennifer Lowe. It's been a real pleasure to have you here and to talk about Guy and all the work he's achieved so far.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be the editor for Touch Ophthalmology, and always an honor to work with you and the team.
Yeah, it's been a total inspiration. It's been lovely to learn more about him, actually. But before we go, I want to tell everyone not to forget, if you enjoyed today's episode, you've got to subscribe on your favorite channel and leave us a review. Your feedback is really important to help us improve what we do and also ensure that we bring you more of what you want.
Yes, please do connect with us on social media. Go to LinkedIn and search for Touch Medical Media for updates. And don't forget to follow our podcast on our Podbean channel. Go to Podbean and search for Visionary Voices, insights from healthcare professionals. We love hearing from you, and so don't hesitate to reach out and join the conversation.
So thank you for listening, and until next time, it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.